You are listening to Exploring Sacred with your host, Denise Iwana Francisco, on the Temple Within Radio and Digital Media Network, giving voice to the sacred.
Hey everybody, it's Denise Iwana Francisco, as my friend David Fix just said. Welcome to Exploring Sacred. It's a beautiful morning here in the Enchanted Forest, and I'm telling you, I had so much fun just now interviewing my son's half-side, my daughter-in-law, Amber Covell, at Soulshine Wildlife Center here in Michigan. Oh my goodness. As you all know anything about me, hey Lady Hawk, thanks for staying in the chat room. I'm going to share the chat room over there on Facebook, so those of you that care to can join Catherine and I. Okay, please join us in the chat room this morning for Exploring Sacred. There we are. Thank you all for joining us wherever you happen to be. And this morning we're going to be talking about something on the heels of what we talked about last time when we were together, and that's about autumn and the shedding of the old and embracing the new. I entitled this particular show, Shedding Our Worn Out Masks and Robes. Right? Our old vestments, shedding who we once were so that we can come to be who we are right now in this present moment. But, you know, talking about Amber and her transformation from corporate banking America to wildlife rehabilitation specialist, one of the things that I absolutely loved about that interview was when she said she found a piece of paper going back to the time when she was in third grade. And at that time, even in third grade, how old are you at that time? Like 9, 10 years old. She wrote on a piece of paper that when she grew up, she wanted to be a wildlife rescuer, an animal rescuer. I love that. It is amazing how our young self can already know in our soul what it is that we really desire to be, or who it is that we will one day come to be when we are ready for it. And sometimes we forget to listen to the voice of the child within that says, but I'd really like to be doing what I'd really like to be doing deep down in my soul. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine, right? We sing that when we're kids, some of us. And so what is that light saying, even as a child? For Amber, it was, you're going to be an animal rescuer. An animal rescuer. I love that. And lo and behold, here she is, an animal rescuer. All right, I've got it up and posted. There we are in the radio and network page on Facebook, if you care to join us in the chat this morning about this subject. You know, letting go of the old masks. Good Lord. You know, there are some people, and, you know, we can all be that. For a long time, I really, you know, put on the back burner who it was that I came here to be. And ironically, it was at the age of 30, just like Amber, that I had this moment of awakening. I had this moment of awakening that said, you know, this the way things are going right now doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel right. The joy isn't right there to the degree that it should be there. And I was also working in corporate America, and I continued to work in corporate America until I was 50 years old because I enjoyed my work. I enjoyed being at the newspaper for 33 years. It taught me a lot. I met some of the most astounding people that I will probably ever meet on this earth there at the newspaper, and we continue to be friends and allies in my work. But there was an inkling inside of me that said there's a little bit more. There's something more that you have forgotten that will bring you great joy. And little did I know that it would really turn my life in a very unique direction. The inkling of my soul was that I've come here to express my soul with and through the gifts of the Spirit, the charismata, as a seer, as a sensitive. And for some people, that really turned their life a little bit askew when I began to bridge that part of myself and I dropped the mask that said, I am only corporate America. And I dropped the robes that said, you only wear tailored suits and matching pumps and the matching handbag, right? I went through a lot of years where I had a personal shopper that when the perfect suit would come into the department store there at Jacobson's in East Grand Rapids, I would get a phone call from Marge. God rest her soul. Marge was just an awesome woman. And she would say to me, "Good morning, Nikki." Yeah, she's saying, "I loved hearing Amber talk about the animals." Nikki Jorgensen is also a huge animal lover. Me too, Nikki. And so Marge would give me a call and she'd say, "Hey, Denise, we've got this great new Casper suit or, whatever that just came in. Come on in, let's get it tailored up for you." And then the day came when I kind of outgrew, as they say, the tailored suits and the matching pumps and the matching handbag. And I donned, the mask and the robes of my soul. And let go of the hat that said corporate America, hockey mom, right? Only. And I bridged those worlds. It's not that we have to give up one necessarily for the other. Oftentimes it's a matter of making room for what your soul is saying needs to be done in order for joy, self-expression, happiness, fulfillment, all of those things that we sometimes think, where did my joy go? Where did my joie de vivre go? At what point did that sucker run away really fast? And oftentimes we have to take a minute and, drill down, dial into the inner child that says, but remember what made you happy as a child. Remember what made you happy as a young adult. Remember what it is that makes you happy. You've forgotten. Or perhaps the thought is, have you forgotten your soul? What does your soul have to say? What does your spirit have to say about the lack of joy, about the lack of fulfillment? We can get so busy. And, I'm not excluding myself from this conversation. I can get so busy that I forget to sit for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and listen to the voice of my soul, my connection to the Creator, that says, "Dana, slow down. Slow down, take a minute. Let's think about where your joy went. Let's think about where you're going. Let's think about the weight of the world that no longer needs to be on your shoulders." I had a great conversation with a dear friend yesterday about how we carry the weight of the world on our body, on our shoulders. Sometimes literally on our body. We can carry the weight of the world. We can carry the weight of things no longer useful to our soul's path. We can carry along things that are no longer nourishing to our soul, to our spirit, to our heart. We can carry those things literally on our body with excess weight, excess water in the body. There are so many ways that we can carry around old, worn out masks and robes that actually impact our physical body. And that's when spirit sometimes will bring us to a screeching halt. You all know what I mean. Maybe we get a sudden bout of pneumonia, or we throw our back out, or maybe we have a wee bit of an accident out there in the world. And all of a sudden, our world as we know it has come to a screeching halt, and our butt is either in a bed, a hospital room, in a chair, recuperating, right? The sofa, recuperating from our life. Sometimes we have to recuperate from our own life. I really believe that. We have to recuperate from being the soccer mom or the hockey dad or the workaholic that just can't work enough, cannot make enough money. And life says, whoa, you've forgotten the purpose of your life. Or you've become so ingrained in this life that you're killing yourself, not looking perhaps at where your life is supposed to go or where you desired your life to go. So we're going to have you sit a spell. Any of you ever have that happen? These situations that arise in our lives where we have to sit a spell. Love that word, spell. And think about, create with our thoughts, ruminate, remember, go within. And think about those things, people, places, situations, thoughts, belief systems that no longer serve the path we are currently on or the path that we are being led to or led down or up Lady Hawk is saying, yep. Yeah. We have to have this review because sometimes the robes that we're wearing can become so tight that they choke us. They choke the life out of us. They choke the life out of us. I remember once talking to a client, a mom. She's one of those moms that even though her kids were well out of high school, well out of college, she still considered herself to be one of those helicopter moms, right? Still living through her children and for her children and not giving them any ounce of autonomy. And the kids were like, oh my God, I wish that she would go find a life. I wish she would go find her own life. We have our own life to live, and mom has forgotten now it's her turn to live her life for herself, not for us. We think we've got it pretty well from here, and if we don't, we know how to find her for advice. All right, this is the conversation that was coming up between my client and her grown daughter. The question, the mother was asking, what do I do now? I never prepared myself to be anything other than the mom. That's all I need to, that's all I ever needed to do was to be the mom. And in that I felt fulfilled. But now my children are having children and they are finding a way of their own that isn't necessarily the way that I raised them. But I don't know what to do. I don't know where I went. Denise, where did I go? And I said, well, once you're a mom, once you're a dad, once you're an auntie, or an uncle, you're always that thing, right? You're that thing, that one hat, that one robe, that one vestment. We never take that off as parents. That is part and parcel of who we will always be. However, there comes a time when all of a sudden we get to be more of us, where we can have that hat, we can wear that robe, but we can switch it up and wear it in tandem with who we really are. And that was the conundrum for her. How do I let go of that? Well, we never completely let go of it. Well, some people do for a variety of reasons. Nikki is saying, oh yeah, she knows. That's one of those pivotal points sometimes in parenting where we have to stop and we look at the children that we've raised. And, some of them will always need more assistance than others, perhaps. And that's okay. Right? That's okay. We love our children for where they are and who they are. Sometimes we have to love them from a distance as we're finding who we are again, but not who we are as a case of arrested development. Right? I'm never going to be the woman that I was at the age of 30 who gave birth to my last child. At 30, I was done having babies. I ended up raising another child a son from another mother. But I did not ever revert to the fact that at the last time that I actually gave birth, I became 30 again. I didn't revert back to 17, although in my soul, I'm pretty sure I'll always be 17 years old. In my soul, I loved being 16, 17. Oh my goodness, I was having so much fun being free-spirited and all of that. But I am a grown woman, and I have realized that throughout my life has called me to change. My life has called me. My soul has called me. Not to forget necessarily where I've been, but to integrate that into who I am now and where hopefully that I'm going. It's not about dropping everything that we've ever experienced, but how does that serve to nourish us now? And if it doesn't nourish us, or bring us wisdom, it means it's time to shed that or to let that go. If we're still carrying around a burden from the time that we are 8 years old or 15 years old or 20 years old, it's time to let that go. And sometimes that means maybe we need the help of a therapist, a really good counselor like Nicole Fix or Terry Ruel. Maybe we do need a counselor to help get us through those times, to let it go. Otherwise, the burden becomes an iron mask. There are people that I've met that literally wear an iron mask. And the iron mask is all of the drama and the trauma and the hurt and the resentment that they have experienced in their life. And it is so tightly under lock and key that it will take, right, a locksmith to unlock it? Who's the locksmith? Who holds the key? Who holds the key to switching up the mask or removing the iron mask or the worn out rotting robe that you're schlepping around in, right? Some people schlep around in, again, I use the word arrested development. Haven't moved off a dime since homecoming when they were in high school. And I'm not saying forget homecoming and all of those good sorts of things. I mean, yeah, homecoming in high school, I was on the homecoming court. I did all of that kind of stuff, rode on the float and all of that, right? But I'm still not riding around on the float from 1980 and 1981 from being on the homecoming court. In fact, now I kind of chuckle at myself that any of that even happened and who I am today. People hear that. Really? You were on the homecoming court? And all of... Denise, that just doesn't even... When I look... Really? Life as you live it now? Huh. Interesting. But I do believe that you listened to Stevie Nicks records, right, and Aerosmith, and went to see Alice Cooper. That I get. But really, you did that as well? You were going to go to the Air Force Academy? Heck yeah, I was signed up and ready to rock and roll into the Air Force Academy. But life changed, and I had to change with it. Life changed and I had to change with it. I no longer carry around the ball and chain of, gee, I was too short to fly airplanes. Therefore, my life for the rest of my life bites the big one. Right? That becomes a mask and a robe that I needed to let go of. Thankfully for me, even at 18, 19 years old, I knew that when I got the letter saying you've been accepted into the United States Air Force Academy, however, you do not meet the height requirements to fly planes. Well, in my mind, that's all I wanted to do, so I wasn't going to be a desk jockey in the Air Force. And I also knew that, okay, well, apparently then life is calling me somewhere else. And it called me to the newspaper, right? It called me to get married and to have children. And I'm not still lamenting what was at that moment a terrible loss for me. We have to learn to switch those things up. Katie Battle, she's saying, that's funny. I was thinking about this morning on the way to work. I felt like that when my parents passed. I realize I'm just now figuring out what to do without my parents. That was 5 years ago. The healing process is ongoing. Thank goodness I have great people to look to for guidance. We're all just walking each other home, right, as Ram Dass says. And Katie, how wonderful that, we're walking each other home. We're here on this earth plane for such a short, exquisite visit. We're just visiting here. Whether we're rehabilitating wildlife, maybe we're down in the great state of Texas doing what it is that we do in Texas. Lady Hawk is an astounding photographer. Nikki Jorgensen running the Heartful Art Studio in Big Rapids, Michigan. Katie Battle, who is just a ray of sunshine no matter where she goes. She's a postmaster, right? How marvelous is that? We're all doing what it is that we do, and in the course of doing what it is that we're being asked to do by our soul says sometimes, okay, it's time to let go of that. Time to let go of that. It's time to go with this. It's time to pick that up. Nikki Jorgensen, it's time for you to open up your own art studio. Boy, there's some trepidation. What do you mean it's time for me to open up my own art studio? That means I need to give up X, Y, and Z over here if I want to do A, B, and C over there. Then what? Then what? Those of you that are listening, like Katie, who have, been very close to their parents, perhaps lived with your parents, and parents pass. Who are you then? If you are not at home caregiving for your parents, who are you then? What are you then? What are you to believe about yourself at that time? In the morning, right? Mourning what was. And then the dawn of a new morning into whom it is that you are to be. Who are you then? Who are you then when you divorce your spouse or your spouse divorces you? Katie's saying, Nikki, you're an amazing woman. That's right, she is. So are you. Who are you when you divorce your spouse? Well, when I divorced my husband, I was no longer able to take communion at the Catholic Church that I attended. That was a big deal for me. I was a lifelong cradle Catholic, as they say. Who am I now that I have to be at church, and while everybody else goes up for communion, I have to sit? According to the church rules, who are you then? And Denise, is it time to reconsider where you plant your butt every Sunday? But who am I if I'm no longer going to the Catholic Church every Sunday? Who am I then? What will my belief system become if I no longer believe in? Then who am I? Then who am I? Who am I if I no longer have that corporate job? If I am no longer sitting on executive row at the newspaper after 33 years, then who am I? I'm no longer the newspaper woman. I'm a former newspaper woman. What does that mean for me now? And where do I go from here? As I say that, the wind is kicking up out in the enchanted forest outside my office. Then where do I go? It's at those points where, sometimes we have to not ask our best friends, right? Our really good friends. Geez, I don't know what to do now. What do you think I should be doing? That's when Spirit calls us to a place of quiet. That's when Spirit calls us to a place of quiet. And sometimes that quiet, by the way, lasts more than 5 minutes. Sometimes it can last days, weeks, months. The place of going within. Every day, where am I to go now? Where would you have me? Where would you have me? Where am I to go? Where am I most needed? Every morning I ask that question. Creator, where would you have me be today? Creator, where will I best serve today? I ask that every day. And then I follow the signs. And I do honor the times now that I've gotten older when Spirit says, where I need you is to rest. I need you to rest. It is amazing how we will keep that iron mask or that old nasty vestment on until we become sick from it. Any of you know anyone who's been in a toxic relationship, a toxic job, a toxic mindset? For so long that it's made them physically sick, emotionally sick, spiritually sick. And the toxicity of that mask and that old worn out vestment can cost people their lives. A joyful life, right? An abundant life. Can cost people their happiness. Can cost people their wellness, their well-being, their physical well-being even. Sometimes we stay in the toxicity of old, worn-out masks and vestments because we would rather dance with the devil that we currently know, right? Than take that leap of faith, as Amber said a bit ago, into the possibility of what might be. Sometimes we have to lose everything we have ever known, right? Sometimes we call that the dark night of the soul. The dark night of the soul. Until we can come out into the light of a new day. Yup, and I stay away from them. They tend to have a pig pen cloud around them trying to draw me in. Yes, those people some people are just toxic for a lot of reasons. Some situations, some jobs, right, are so toxic that they try to draw others into their toxicity, and sometimes people are drawn into their toxicity, whether it is, the toxicity of gossip, or woe is me, or look what's been done to me, right? People are drawn into that. When we can stand in our own firmament, when we can stand in our own light and know who we are in the now, not who we were in high school, not who we were 10 years ago or 5 years ago or even 10 days ago, or who we hope to be, but when we can stand in the presence of who we are now, we can detect toxicity. We can detect where we don't want to go. We can see clearly the clear path that is being prepared for us. And as we get older, frankly, having the Pigpen Dusty people, and God bless Pigpen, in our lives is part of the shedding, the part of the letting go. And sometimes the toxic people that we wear on our shoulders, we drag them around like Jacob Marley in A Christmas Carol, right? Schlepping around the balls and the chains of toxic people who will not stand up on their own because we've never given them the opportunity to stand up on their own and to make their own way, because we do always know what's best, right? Those can be toxic, worn out vestments that we have to shed before our body takes on the weight of that. People will say, my God, I used to weigh 110 pounds and now I weigh 210 pounds. Where did that extra 100 pounds come from? And sometimes I'll say, take a look around you. Take a look around you at the relationships in your life. The people that you are literally carrying along. Their thoughts, their emotions, their experiences, their hardships, their needs. You've been carrying that along, and after a while, we don't realize it, and soon our physical body is carrying their weight. Sometimes our auric body, right, our light will carry that weight of a toxic job or toxic spouse, whatever it happens to be, or the unwillingness to move forward. We will bind ourselves in our own unwillingness to move forward. We're supposed to move forward. It's part of why we came here. We didn't come here to stand in one place, I don't believe. Trees came here to stand in one place. Although as the earth shifts, right, trees shift with the earth, the crust of the earth. I was saying to Todd the other day, it's amazing to me how the trees in the forest, we think of trees as pretty well stayed people, stayed spirits. I said, after the spring and the summer rains that we've had, I can see that some of the trees have shifted. They've moved, they're bending in different places, along their trunk. Some of them have actually moved a foot or so because of the strong torrential rains. Even the trees move. And yet they're firm in who they are. They're deep in their roots and firmly, ensconced in the heavens. If the trees can move along with Grandmother Earth, why then can't we? And shouldn't we? We all signed up to come here, to journey here, to experience here. This isn't all it. We didn't come here to stand in one place like a lighthouse and just have a look-see around. We came here to be one of those ships on the ocean, finding light, radiating light while we're on this beautiful ship. Row, row, row your boat, as we're rowing our boat. Katie is saying, I took the afternoon off yesterday and I think the gal worked for me, left her toxic energy behind. Can that happen? Absolutely. We can walk into a room of toxicity, right? Oh, and we can feel it. What do we do about that? Well, there are lots of things that we can do. One of the simplest ways, if you're not, probably going to take smudge into the post office, you can ask the angels of light, can ask Creator to remove the negativity from the room or the area around you. It's not always easy. Sometimes when we're talking about removing the old, outdated masks of our lives so we can move forward and to help us unbind ourselves from those chains and those robes and the vestments that we've worn. When we're asking for help, sometimes we have to ask for help from the Creator. Creator, help me. Help me through this. Help me to see. Help me to gently release with love. When we are releasing anything, anyone, whether it's a thought system, a belief system, someone that we love, we can still love someone and be required to let them go. We can still have an interest in something and yet follow the path of our soul. And when we let go, letting go with love is the greatest gift that we give ourselves in moving forward, in the letting go, in taking on the new robe, and taking on the new, right, ball cap, whatever it is that you like to see yourself dressed in. Always with love. With love I let go, and with love I embrace the new. With love I let go of the old belief system and the toxic relationship, perhaps even the toxic relationship you've had with yourself. I'm no longer going to be toxic to myself. I'm going to nurture myself. I let go of the old me with love, and I embrace me as I am now with love, and I welcome with love the me that is coming into being. It's that simple. And if you have to repeat that to yourself day in and day out, that's fine. There are days when I have to do that. Dana, it's okay. Let go with love. I let go with love. I embrace with love. I welcome with love. Thank you for the lessons that you've taught me. Thank you for helping me to find my strength. With the wisdom and the strength that I have gained, I am going forward with love. Elise is saying, I liked it better when we could see your beautiful self. Seems not as personal and connected now. Isn't that funny? Because I've received so many messages from other people saying, thank you for going back to radio. I love hearing your voice. I love hearing the comfort and how comfortable you are in your voice. But thank you for that, Elise. I am comfortable in my voice. I'm comfortable, but not as comfortable being in front of a screen. But thank you for sharing that. With that, everyone, with love, love yourself. Let go with love. Embrace yourself with love. And welcome yourself with love and the path that comes before you. And I just love you too, Elise. That's right. Thank you, Nikki. Yeah, this format for me is so easy. Because I feel as though I'm just chatting on the phone with my friends. Not worried about whether or not I have lipstick in my teeth, right? Oh my goodness. I need to let go of that thought too, huh? With that, everybody, thank you for being you. Thank you for being out there shining your light. Thank you for being brave enough to let go and move forward in the light of who you are presently and in the light of where you are going. Have a beautiful day, everybody.